conclusion, the state's motion to admit the other evidence or evidence of other crimes is admitted. I will file a more formal order granting the state's motion.
Big moment in the courtroom. Judge Newman saying, yes, the motive evidence is coming in. This is huge for prosecutors. You know, you've got to come up with some explanation as to why Alex Murdaugh would do this to his son and then hunt down his wife. You need some explanation. Now they'll be able to do it. Let's give you a little taste of some of the testimony that the jury will now hear.
And how much were these fees supposed to be, did you know?
$792,000 in total.
And to this point, the firm had not received those fees, is that correct?
That's correct.
And Chris Wilson's office is saying initially, we already dispersed them.
Yes. On June 7th, I was going to make another run at finding out from Alec if we had their information. I went upstairs to his office is on the second floor, and he was leaning on a file cabinet outside his office. And he turned and looked at me when I came up and said, "What do you need now?" And gave me a very dirty look, not a look that I'd ever received from Alec, from just kind of frustrated with me look, which made me go, "Oh, you want to know? Let's go in your office." So we went in the office and closed the door, and at that point, I told him that I had reason to believe that he had received the funds himself and that I needed proof that he had not. I decided to print a ledger printout of our system of payments to Forge. And as I did that, I started printing all the documents that would relate to those disbursements, the disbursement statements and the canceled checks. And as I started printing the canceled checks off, I could see Bank of America on the back and Alex Murdaugh's signature. And everyone that came out was just put it a little bit more in the grave for me.
And do you know the defendant?
I do.
And when did you get to know the defendant?
I've known Alex since we were in high school. He said he would try to meet with me the next morning, and that he was sorry. The first thing I asked him was, you know, Alex, what the is going on here? You know, what is going on, and have you done something else to me or that involves me that I don't know about? Because I know about this, and I've got to deal with this, but is there something else you've done that I don't know about that I need to be concerned with?
What did he say?
He broke down crying. Said I can't right this second. He went inside, came back out with some paper towels, and told me that he had a drug problem, that he was addicted to opioids, and that he had been addicted for, I don't remember if he said 20 or 20 plus years, but I mean, you know, for 20 years or so.
Did he say anything about the money?
He told me that he had been stealing money.
Did he have a particular phrase about what he had done to you?
Me up.
He said he you up?
Me up, or me up, or off, or something like that, but I think it was he me up.
He said that he admitted to you he had been stealing client money?
Yes, sir.
Said so he confessed that to you, is that correct?
He said he had a lot of people up.
Who was your mother?
Gloria Satterfield.
Gloria Satterfield?
Yes.
And is Gloria still with us?
She's not.
And when did she pass?
February 26, 2018.
2018?
Yes, sir.
And who did she work for when she passed?
Alex and Maggie Murdaugh.
What happened to your mom?
She fell and hit her head.
And where was she when that happened?
She was at Alice's house in Moselle.
So he said he was going to go after his insurance company?
Yes.
And get medical bills for your mom paid?
Yes.
Did he say he might get money for you and your brother?
Yes.
Did you ever get 1 cent from Alex Murdaugh when he was still, before all of this happened?
No.
And it took, after this happening, it took a legal process for that to happen, is that right?
Yes.
And ultimately, is it your understanding that he confessed judgment to taking money for both of those, is that right? Not long after you started the boat case, well, let me ask you this. Did your client, Renee Beach, have any particular experience at the scene that informed how you were handling this particular case?
She certainly had an experience that prompted the call to me.
Now, can you explain that to the court, please?
She wanted to go down to the bridge where the boat crash had occurred. I think this was either Monday or Tuesday, so the crash happens early Sunday morning. The scene's cordoned off, and she's told she can't go down there. And just a few minutes later, Alex's father and his wife pull up in a car, and they're waved under the tape, and they go down to the bridge. In a civil case, the only thing that we can do to try to, under the law, make a party whole is recover money damages. And Alex sees me, and he comes across, and he gets up close in my face and says, "Hey, Bo, what's this I'm hearing about what you're saying? I thought we were friends." And I replied, "Alex, we are friends. If you don't think I can burn your house down and that I'm not doing everything and I'm not going to do everything, you're wrong. You need to settle this case."
Okay. And so what was the point of that conversation? What was, if you can explain to the court what y'all were talking about, what is Alec upset to as you understood it?
That he was going to have to pay was what he was hearing. That's what it was. That's what the point of it was. We're friends. I took it as he tried to intimidate me. He didn't intimidate me, and sort of bully me into backing off.
Fascinating situation he's in, but then you ask yourself, well, all this is happening. Why does that equal shooting your wife and son? Let's bring back in Chanley Painter, Matt Harris, Joseph Scott Morgan. Chanley, give us the few lines that the prosecution is going to use to try to tie this all together to the murder.
Well, I'll start with where they started in openings, which with perfect storm was brewing in Alex Murdaugh's life that culminated in his desperation, or as the judge said today, his dire financial situation being exposed and charged criminally for that he went to the extreme length of distracting, deflecting from the financial woes by murdering his wife and son. That's how extreme he would go and do that. And not only do they hope to argue the financial crimes, Vinny, but later this week we're going to hear about the roadside shooting, whether the judge will also allow that in to show another pattern of behavior when he's fired from his work. It's all coming to a head that he goes to extremes again and does something like faking a suicide.
Matt, how bad was it? Like, he's accused of this. I mean, you're shooting your son and blowing his brains out, and then you're hunting down your wife, the mother of your two children, the one you just killed and the surviving one. How bad were things in Alex Murdaugh's life at this point?
Well, the defense is going to try to say that Alec always figured out a way and he wouldn't panic in this situation. However, when you get people on the stand like Chris Wilson, who was his best bud, and he will say that this guy's my best friend and he was bleeping me around and putting me in a really horrible position. And you have the Satterfield adults talking about their mom who helped raise Paul and Buster for 20 some years. He didn't have a problem with stealing millions and millions of dollars from them. That kind of thing will go on. And he was taken from people who were his best friend. He stole from his brother. He stole from a state trooper. When they start hearing the kind of people he hurt, not just the dollar figures, but the type of people that he would go after and try to ruin, I think that starts to get closer and closer to the kind of guy who would do anything to keep his money safe.
And Joseph Scott Morgan, we've covered so many murder trials through the years, right? I think my hair was a little darker back then when we started doing this.
So was mine.
Yeah. So, to me, we always fall into this trap sometimes, and I never want the jury to fall into this trap, which is trying to come up with a logical reason to murder people. Like, there is none, right? In the real world, with regular people, like the nice folks in the jury, like the nice folks on our show tonight, it's tough to in our minds to say, okay, this would be a reason why I would need to shoot my son and my wife. There's never a good reason for a murder. And that's like a trap we fall into during these trials, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I got to tell you, just as not as a forensic scientist, but just as a trial watcher. Today's testimony with Mallory Beach's family's attorney was something that I don't think that, and of course that was out of view of the jury. I don't know that I've seen anything that explosive in some time, and if that is an insight into what is to come, it's going to be quite the show to watch. I got to say, you know, reflectively, I'm looking back at this, and Gloria Satterfield, who I've talked about extensively on my podcast, and you know, that home, that family that was wrecked by all of this, and of course Mallory's family, you know, in a way, allowing this in, they're gonna be there. And in an odd kind of way, they're going to have testimony on their behalf. They're going to be speaking from the grave here, and that's going to be powerful stuff to watch.
It comes across as someone who, you know, crosses a lot of lines, and you just got to take it one step further to cross that next line where you commit murder to divert everyone's attention away from the bad things that you're doing, thinking that you'd never get caught.